everyone. Welcome to another Wayflyer Founder Series. My name is Paul Waddy. I'm a strategic advisor at Wayflyer and an e-commerce expert and author of Shopify for Dummies and Selling Online for Dummies. So I'm really excited about today's guest. We've got Vishal, who's one of the founders of BatteryMate, batterymate.com.au. Welcome, Vishal.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, now look, selling batteries online, that's a new one for me, and that's something that I haven't come across yet. So I'm kind of excited to learn about how you got into selling batteries online. And I realize I've just gone from batteries to batteries. What do you say? Do you say battery or battery?
Battery.
Battery. Okay. So tell us about how you got into selling batteries online. What was your journey? And I always want to know as well, there's usually a story before this business. And I wonder if that's the case with you as well. But tell us, when did you start it? Why did you start it? And what was the story with BatteryMate?
Okay. So the BatteryMate journey started in mid 2020. So before 2020, we used to sell a lot of items online. Primarily on eBay and Amazon. Well, Amazon was very small in 2018, but over 90% of our revenue used to come from eBay. Now, what I noticed is we were generating many positive reviews through our battery and charger products. If it's aftermarket battery for Makita or Milwaukee or iPhone or MacBook, people used to love it. And then we started doing a bit more research, and what I realized is pretty much all the electronic equipment that we use nowadays, they are actually going wireless. So let's say if we talk about our doorbell, if we talk about our security cameras, if we talk about our phone movers, right? Everything is becoming wireless increasingly. And one of the main reasons is the price of lithium-ion batteries is actually coming down drastically. So they have actually reduced by about 70% if we compare it to 2013 prices. So more and more companies are making wireless products, and when something goes wireless, it requires a battery. So even if your product is, let's say, good after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of your purchase, you will need to replace the battery at some point of time because the performance is not going to be the same. So rather than throwing that device or selling it, if you just buy a new battery, it will just start working like pretty much a brand new camera or a brand new lawn mower. So keeping that thought in mind, we decided to start batterymate.com.au. So initially, it was just started as a side project. So we had a uni student. He designed batterymate.com.au for us for just about $500. And we simply started selling all the battery products that we were selling on eBay and Amazon on batterymate.com.au. So the initial response was a little slow. Then we hired Google Ads marketing company. They designed Google campaigns for us, and then business started taking off. We were seeing positive results. A lot of people used to buy our batteries and come back. So one thing was definitely sure, there was a huge demand in the market. In Australia in 2020, the battery market was approximately $850 million market. So that's a huge market. Now this comprises of industrial batteries, camping batteries, and all the other batteries that we can think of. But it's a huge market. And what is more fascinating is in next decade also, this market is going to be about $1.8 billion market in Australia alone. So we knew there is a huge market. There were competitors, but there wasn't a single company that would sell huge number of battery models under one roof. So that's how BatteryMate started in 2020. In 2021, we started selling our products on different marketplaces like Kogan and Catch. In early 2022, we got permission to sell our products on Woolworth.com.au as well. You might have heard Woolworth has just launched their marketplace in late 2021. So we were actually one of the first 10 companies to get approval from Woolworth to sell products online. And now we are on Bunnings as well. So that's how BatteryMate started. And 2.5 years down the line, we today have the largest collection of rechargeable batteries and chargers in Australia.
Well, that's been a busy few years for you, Vishal. I love the fact that you sort of cut your teeth or started in eBay and Amazon and then built it into the. And I love that story about hiring the student to build your first website and then scale it to what's a really impressive operation. So your Battery Mate's value proposition, really, as you said, is to have more batteries or a huge catalog, a bigger catalog than almost anyone else.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, look, for example, if you have Samsung Galaxy S3 phone, right, that was released back in 2013, if you need a battery, and don't get me wrong, there are many people are still using their phone that are 6, 7, 8 years old. Many of us upgrade it every second year, but there are people who are using 7 years old phones. So if you need battery for your Galaxy S3, there are not many places where you can go to. If you need your battery for, let's say, iPhone 5, there are not many places who sell batteries for iPhone 5. We do sell them. If there are specialty devices like baby monitor or even codeless phone batteries, we pretty much sell all of them. So it's like one-stop shop for all your battery requirements.
Well, it's fair to say that you've found your niche. And so if anyone wants to put Vishal to the test, go to batterymate.com.au and see if you can find that battery that you're looking for. So what a whirlwind it must have been. Did you find, it looks as though from the outside looking in that you've grown pretty quickly. Has it been a pretty rapid rise, and have there been challenges that have come with that?
The journey has been extremely challenging. So as I said, I mean, I started as an eBay seller back in 2018. There was no Battery Mate back then. So I was just operating from a small single garage. We ran out of space, and instead of hiring a warehouse, because I didn't know if I could afford paying rent for the warehouse, so we moved to a property which had a bigger garage and a backyard where we could store our products. In 2018, we moved to a bigger property. Finally, we ran out of space, and then we rented a warehouse back in 2019. So initial years were very, very hard. And in that time, 2017, 18, 19, 20, there were not many banks who would just support an e-commerce business, even if it's generating good amount of revenue. They would still ask for many years of tax returns and this document and many, and plus security as well. So initial years were very hard. And another challenge that I faced is because we were selling on eBay and Amazon. So the beauty of selling on eBay and Amazon is all you have to do is put your product for sale, keep your prices lowest, put good images, good title, good description, and eBay and Amazon will promote your product themselves. Now, selling on your own Shopify or your own e-commerce store is a different ballgame altogether, because you have to design your marketing campaign or have a company who can design a marketing campaign for you. And that can be extremely expensive, because every click is going to be billable to you, and then design social media campaigns. So I was pretty much new to this world. We hired a company called Click Digital, who are extremely good at what they do. They designed Google Ads campaigns for us, and then we invested a little bit in SEO as well. And after rough 6, 8, 9 months, we were actually able to pick up, and then we were gaining some brand recognition. But today, there are not many places in Australia who can sell you as many batteries at the prices that we sell it for.
Amazing. And just touching on the marketplaces, I get asked a lot from online retailers who are thinking about going the other way, which is starting on Shopify or Magento or whatever it might be, and then wondering, do I need to sell or should I sell on marketplaces? What's your advice to people who are already online retailers that are maybe thinking of taking the step into selling on marketplaces?
Well, look, marketplaces are amazing. As per the recent data in 2021, an average Australian spends approximately $155 every month on a marketplace. Wow. When people go to marketplace, let's say if you are on eBay, you are in that mindset that you are going to buy a product, you are going to spend money. If you are on Google, if you are just searching, you probably click on something and you decide to buy later. So the beauty of marketplace is people go there with a mindset and readiness of spending money. So I would recommend pretty much all e-commerce store owners to at least have some kind of presence on a marketplace. They always don't have to undercut prices of other sellers, which happens a lot on marketplaces. And then you pretty much end up with having very little profit for yourself. So we don't do it. We don't undercut. We don't discount our products heavily for marketplaces, but we do have strong presence on market.
How many marketplaces are you on at this point, Vishal?
So we are on every single Australian marketplace.
Wow.
If it's Coven, if it's Allsale, Catch, Woolworths, we just went live on Bunnings yesterday. Pretty much any marketplace that on Amazon,
Yeah.
we are the top 50 Amazon sellers in Australia. So yeah.
Wow, incredible. And here's another question that I get asked a lot about marketplaces. What sort of marketing budget do you need to allocate to these platforms?
As a rule of thumb, if we are selling on, let's say, eBay or Amazon, just very, very general, we have a huge catalog and every product will have a different kind of profit margin. And as a rule of thumb, we spend approximately between 8 to 10%
Okay.
as promotional marketing, in addition to what we pay to these marketplaces, which is normally 9%, 10%.
Okay, it still compares quite well to traditional e-commerce then, I think.
Yes, I mean, yeah, much cheaper. We spend for batteryman.com.au, our marketing budget is approximately 22% of our total revenue.
Yeah, and that's the norm these days. Is those costs are getting higher, and it is hard to and this puts the emphasis on strong product margins and things like that. And I really do think you need to be spending 15 to 20%, and as you say, sometimes more to stay in the game, and that's one of the challenges. What are some of the other challenges maybe that led you to working with Wayflyer, and how have you used Wayflyer?
Oh, Wayflyer has been amazing. So until the end of 2021, or in beginning of 2022, we had $0 debt. We had almost no debt whatsoever. Every single inventory that we have, all the equipment, computers, forklifts, everything was purchased outright. We would pay in advance. We get inventory, we sell, we earn profit, we invest it back in the business. That's how we grew for the last 3, 4, 5 years, from an eBay seller to Amazon seller to Battery Mike. And then in 2022, mid 2022, I was introduced to Wayflyer. I was just doing a little bit of research on Google. I knew that we can easily scale this business. We had experienced team. We had good brand reputation. What we did not have is access to capital. So I was doing a bit of research on Google. I came across this company called Wayflyer. I was reading reviews and stuff. I had an initial meeting with Nick and some other guys from Wayflyer. Now, they explained that they are in business of providing revenue-based financing, which was something new to me. I had spoken to some other major banks in Australia, and they required tons and tons and tons of documents and many, many, many years worth of records and stuff. So when I spoke to Wayflyer, all they required is what's your 12 months revenue, how your Google ad is performing, how your Facebook ads are performing, how much are you spending on marketing and operating expenses, and how much is your profit margin. So they understood e-commerce businesses really, really, really well. So we got our first funding in April this year. That funding enabled us to go into new categories. We started a lot of wireless remote controls and wireless chargers after we got funding from Wayflyer, and they have generated huge profit for us. We got our second funding just about 30 days back, last month. And that has enabled us to purchase more inventory for Black Friday and the Christmas season.
That's great, and that's I think how finance can work for a business. And when I speak to these founders like yourself who have used Wayflyer, it is always to grow the business, and that's what I like about it. It's not necessarily to get out of a hole or anything like that. The theme that always comes back is we've been able to, as you say, expand into new categories and therefore sell more. And that's what it's all about. And I think the other thing that I wanted to ask you that seems to keep coming up is, you're right, dealing with traditional banks, the paperwork is just off-putting. I don't know anyone who has the time to do that in a busy e-commerce business. But the process with Wayflyer, it was pretty fast, right?
Oh, literally it took about 4 days from our initial meeting to get the funds in the account. It was a 4-day process.
Yeah, and I think what stands out to me as well is when I interviewed Jack, one of the founders, that he's an e-commerce guy. They're actually founded by e-commerce people. So I think that they understand you and what you're trying to do, and that makes a big difference.
That's true. That's true. And the beauty of Wayflyer is they don't only give you funds, but they also have expertise. They also have other experts like marketing experts and Facebook experts, social media experts. So in my case, I mean, we were running like a lot of campaigns on Facebook and Insta and others. What I was able to do is I was able to secure some meetings with these marketing experts, and they actually gave me very valuable advice saying, this is what we are spending on social media. This is what normal general e-commerce store in Australia spend. This is like a healthy spend, healthy budget. And so that was also very valuable.
I think the reason that I love that is Wayflyer are a business who plugs into your store. They check how much they think you could grow, and then they lend against that. So for Wayflyer to grow, you need to grow. And I think that's the way that funding should be.
Exactly. Totally agree.
So, Vishal, what strikes me about your industry is it's rapidly approaching, I think you said, $1 billion industry, which really is something that surprised me. I was going to ask you what's next for Battery Mate. Do you open stores? Do you go overseas? But you've got a really big, huge, actually, domestic market that you can tackle for quite some time, right?
That's right. Yeah, the market is really huge. Now, we launched our store in New Zealand just a few months back, and the response from New Zealand has been amazing as well. So we are working with a 3PL partner in New Zealand who stores some of the batteries for us. And when we get orders, they ship on our behalf. And majority of our items are still stored in Sydney. So when we receive orders from New Zealand, we ship it from here. So New Zealand now is approximately 10% of our total revenue. 90% still come.
Wow.
86% still come from Australia. We have buyers from other countries as well, but we are focusing right now on Australian and New Zealand market, and we are pretty much focusing on growing our online sales rather than opening the retail shops. We get a lot of calls from customers saying, do you have Battery Mite in Melbourne? Do you have Battery Mite in Tasmania? We hear it very often, but right now our laser sharp focus is becoming and staying number one battery and charger sellers in the Australian and New Zealand market, and then grow internationally. We have been invited by Amazon US, Amazon UK to feature our product in their market as well. It's not too hard to do, but that's on our roadmap in 2023. In India as well, the market is really huge.
Wow.
So we have tried that market as well. So in 2023, we are pretty much going to go in other
Well, you've got your hands full, and I think you're in a, as you point out, everybody wants everything wireless these days. So you're lucky enough to be in a segment that's only going to grow from here. One thing that I was thinking about, I mean, you do a lot of small items as well, but I would imagine that perhaps some of your items are heavy. Are the logistics a challenge and shipping products to people, or not really?
Logistics have always been very challenging. So in Western Sydney area, we are Australia Post's biggest customer. So because we ship that many products, we get favorable prices. But even after that, we recently introduced some solar panels. Now, solar panels are huge and bulky and also fragile. So it has been challenging to ship these products. So we have got partnerships with other carriers like Aramex Couriers and Cartrack and others. So we still use Australia Post for many of our items, but for big and bulky items, we have got alternate couriers available.
And you're in your own warehouse in Sydney, or a 3PL?
No, we have got two warehouses in Sydney. So one is in Blacktown, which is our head office. We have got a second huge warehouse in Penrith. So that is a secondary warehouse, yes.
Okay, and when did you first get your warehouse? Did you ever use 3PL, or did you go straight into your own warehouse?
I have used 3PL at some point of time, but just because we had plenty of products, I found it slightly harder. And we have a lot of sales channels as well. So today we are on about 10 different marketplaces. Then we have our own Shopify store and eBay stores and other stuff. So I found it slightly challenging to use 3PL in Australia, and we get favorable rates from our courier partners. So we have actively used 3PL that much.
Yeah, okay. Vishal, I was wondering as well, what were you doing before you were selling batteries on eBay and Amazon?
I was working for Commonwealth Bank. So I was working in their project management team back in 2015, 2016. Then I resigned. I had some other interest as well. I pursued some other interest. I had a part-time, like very small eBay business. I used to sell some items online. Then I stopped doing it. Then in 2017, I started selling again on eBay and Amazon. And then pretty much the journey started from a small garage to a double garage to a small warehouse to a bigger warehouse and 2 warehouses.
I love that. And so it sounds like you always had that entrepreneurial sort of spirit. There was something bugging you to always be a merchant.
That's very true. That's very true. Yes.
I love that. I love that. It's a common thread, actually, which is why I asked you. I'm always interested to see what people did before they were doing this. And it's funny that you were at a big bank, so you know finance pretty well.
Yes, that's right.
So I want to touch on marketing for a moment because it's changed so rapidly. There's been so many people, so many retailers jumping into e-commerce that it's really driven the price up. I think of paid media. What are you finding? I'm seeing a lot of brands in apparel, for example, starting to pull money out of Facebook and invest it in TikTok. I'm not sure that resonates in batteries. Maybe it does, but how are you finding the current state of paid media specifically? Is it challenging? Is it a bit tricky at the moment?
That's right. And it's changing so fast. Good that you mentioned TikTok. All of our factories in China as well, they said, look, their other clients in US and UK are seeing huge growth in their TikTok revenue. So far, we have invested very little marketing budget in TikTok. We are planning to invest more. I'm not 100% sure what kind of result we will see in my industry, but it's a very rapidly changing industry. And if you get it wrong, you can end up losing or maybe just wasting a huge chunk of your marketing budget on channels that are just not giving you enough impressions or revenue or sales. We constantly review it on fortnightly basis with our marketing team and with the people who are managing our advertisement campaign, making changes.
Yeah, it's a never-ending beast, and I think, as you say, it's about trying, but it's hard to try, isn't it? Because you've got to sort of carve out a decent budget to give these channels like TikTok. And also, I find that the challenge is that the consumer wants newness so often that you've got to really change your creative on some of these platforms in 48, 72 hours. So it is, I think, content creators have never been more important than right now.
That's very right, Paul. So we are actually actively looking at partnering with some of the influencers as well in TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube, and we want to explore what kind of result that kind of marketing can give us. But yeah.
And I note you're on You're a Shopify seller. Have you been on Shopify from the start?
Yes.
Now, I ask everybody who I speak to who's a seller on Shopify about their favorite app, or it could be an integration. So it could be just, could be gorgeous for customer service. It could be an app. Do you have a favorite app that you'd share with us?
I do. I have actually got multiple. The first app that I would recommend is called Omnivore. So what Omnivore does.
Yeah. Marketplace one?
So that is like one-click integration, between your Shopify to all the marketplaces that you can think of in Australia, in New Zealand. So that has been a huge relief for us. We didn't want to manually upload all the inventory, manage all the integration separately. So that's first one. The second favorite application that we use all the time is called Invoicify. So Invoicify simplifies invoice creation a lot. So all you have to do is when somebody requests for a text invoice, pretty much open their order, one click, send invoice, it will automatically go to their email ID, or if you want to change email, it can go to multiple people as well. So that's the second favorite. That saves a lot of time.
That's a new one for me. I love it. So Omnivore, yep, big tick for me as well. And then Invoicify, simplifying the invoicing process. That's great. I love that. So Vishal, we're approaching the end of our time, but I wanted to ask you, you've obviously been in e-commerce now during a pretty chaotic time. I think it's fair to say that for a lot of businesses, things are going to change. The landscape's changed as e-commerce has, just come back a little bit to where it was. And my opinion on that is that there will be some online retailers who will be found out a little bit, who might have grown pretty easily, but now they have to be really good businesses and good operators. What do you think businesses need to focus on over the next 12 months or so to remain, profitable, I suppose?
I would say if you are in an industry that has potential to grow and keep growing in future, in my case, what we do is we constantly keep our prices competitive. We don't discount heavily. So we get a lot of calls from marketplaces saying, look, Black Friday is coming, Cyber Monday is coming, you have to give 10%, 20%, 30% discount. And I'm like, that's my profit margin. If I give 30% discount, what am I going to earn? So I would say, rather than focusing on generating more and more revenue, always make sure that you are making money, you are making profit on the item that you are selling. Just don't give discount to increase or inflate your revenue numbers. If you do it, you are going to be out of business, if not today, then tomorrow. So that is the number one advice. Always make sure that you are making money on everything that you sell. If you have additional, in my case, we have got thousands of products out of 5,000. We keep on reviewing our inventory every 6 months. Items that are not selling that well, that are selling really slow, that have very, very slim profit margin, we try to get rid of them. We replace them with newer products.
I love that. I've just written that down because one is to focus on profit. I guess the saying is revenue for vanity, profit for sanity. And I think you're absolutely right, that particularly leading into November and December, you don't need to discount, particularly if you can't afford it. So really to watch your margins and not cave to what your competitors or your marketplaces might want. And the second one, to really cycle through your inventory and look at, in Shopify, there's an ABC analysis. Your grade C inventory makes up 5% of your revenue. Make sure that you're getting rid of that and constantly focusing on the grade A product. I think they're two great pieces of advice.
Yes.
Well, listen, Vishal, we're at the end of our time, but I thought you dropped some really good info and really good advice there for anybody listening. And on behalf of the Wayflyer Founder Series, I wanted to thank Vishal from Battery Mate for coming on and sharing his wisdom with us today.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for inviting me. I've been your fan for a long time. I've read your books, Shopify for Dummies and others as well. Yeah.
Many thanks. And I didn't even pay Vishal to say that, so many thanks.